Hello and welcome back to I Have No Idea What I Am Doing, a fortnightly show all about learning. This is the 10th episode in a series of videos where I take you on my journey learning Vuex by recreating Cards Against Humanity as a Vuex app. If you are just joining us, watch this playlist from the beginning where you'll see the app and the video quality improve over time. Today we're going to be removing the hard-coded data from the app and using Vuex actions to pull it in asynchronously from an actual database. So without any further ado, let's get learning. Alright, so what we want to do today is we want to look at the data again. So if I go into cards.js, you'll see all our data is stored here. Now, this is fine for our testing purposes, but you see, like, if I move some cards about, let's just fill the hand with all, we've only currently got 10 cards, but let's just fill the hand with all 10 cards. Then if we refresh the page, it goes back to how it was set here, because that's just how it works. When the app initializes, this is the initial state it gets. We modify that state and it keeps track of it, but as soon as we refresh the page, we jump back to the initial state. And anybody who tries to access the app from anywhere else, they're not going to see the changes. So what I want to do in the future, hopefully not too far in the future, is add in a Firebase database so that all the changes we make here will be pushed up to the Firebase database. They'll be stored there permanently. And not only that, but the if anybody else was to look at the database, to open the app at the right place, they would be in sync with everybody else, and everything. It just work a lot nicer. It'd work like a card game. But as an interim, because we haven't done actions yet and we need to learn how actions work and how this app will interact with the database, I want to look at a program called JSON Server. Now what JSON Server does is it allows us to create a REST API using just a JSON file, basically. It says here, get a full fake REST API with zero coding in less than 30 seconds. Less than 30 seconds is maybe a little bit optimistic, but it's actually not far off. So what you want to do with this is you want to install it globally. I've already done this because I used it for a project at work, which is what made me think about doing this. So if you don't have this already, pop in this install command and you'll just have it ready. Then what you do once you've got that is you just run JSON server --watch and then point it at the JSON file that you want to watch. We don't have that JSON file yet, so let's create it. The good news is we can create it pretty easily from this. If I open up a new file, paste this in here. Don't need to call it collections anymore. In fact, I have a funny feeling. Yeah, this is a valid JavaScript object, but it's not valid JSON because we need to put the quotes around all of these keys. That could take a little while, so I'll be back in a minute. And it's by magic. Here we are. Now we want to save this. I will, in our root, create a new folder called data, and this is collections.json. Right. Now if we just do JSON server --watch data /collections.json, and there we go. So you can see what it's done here is it's created a REST API for us, and it's given us the endpoints of deck, play area, and player one, because we've got deck, we've got play area, and we've got player one. Happy days. In fact, I'll show you very quickly. If I go to localhost /deck, there is all the cards in the deck. and if we go to play area, there's all the cards in the play area, and we can go to slash, I can't remember what it is now, there we are, DB. That's all the cards in the database, so the deck, the play area, and player 1. Happy days. Right. Now, it's still pulling in the card data from this thing here, so what we want to do is we want to empty out these collections. We want to, well, we got there. Empty out the collections, and we want to basically install. We want to hit the endpoint that we've just made and pull in all the collections. Now, I'm not too sure on the Vue way to do this, so I'm just going to kind of do it in a way that I know is wrong, just so I can pull it in and show you. We could use fetch here, but I want to use Axios. Axios is a library that just makes HTTP requests or REST API calls a lot easier, basically. So if I just kill that for now, I'm going to do yarn add Axios. It should be pretty quick because I'll already have it cached. There we go. Right. And then up here, if I import Axios, I just want regular Axios from Axios, and then I do here, I just put a thing in there, Axios dot get localhost 3000 slash, what was it, database, then response, I just want to log out that response, see what it gives us. Let's see, yeah, okay, so the app's not playing nice because it's trying to access the collections, but there aren't any collections, basically. So, you know, it can't read slice of undefined because there, you know, there's no cards in there. This is an issue that we're going to have to rectify, but not right now. Connection refused to DB. Why is that? Sure. Ah, right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I've not actually. I turned the JSON server off, so it can't find the data because it's not there. It's there now. Console. There we go. We're logging out the data. So there we are. We've got the deck. We've got the player, and we've got player 1. So this JSON server thing it's really nice. So what we don't want to log the response, we want to set state.collections to equal response.data. This is not a good idea. This is a terrible idea, but it'll do the job for now. There we go. So you can see we're pulling in all the cards. There we go. Happy days. Now it looks exactly the same as it did before, but if we go into the collections data and we change eating people to having a nice time, we should see, oh, I don't actually know where eating people is. Is it in there? There we go, having a nice time. So we are getting the data from the database now. I'll change that back to eating people. Yeah, but what's happening is when we move the card, we're only moving it in the app, we're not actually moving any data around. So what we've got here is we've got the origin collection, and we are removing the card from the origin and we are adding it to the destination. We just want to do exactly the same thing in here. So with Axios again, we want to remove it, and we want to Axios dot. Right, so we want to remove from the origin. So that's at localhost 3000 slash origin, and we want to post to localhost 3000 slash destination. Now what this will do is, if I just jump in here again, so you see we've got, this is the deck endpoint, so we can post to that to add cards to it. And what we can also do, you see how these have all got IDs. If I copy that ID and put it in there, we get just that card. But we can post a delete request to this endpoint, and that'll remove just this card. This is a little bit destructive. We could end up deleting our cards indefinitely, but we'll review this later. This is just a proof of concept almost. In fact, that almost went terribly wrong because I forgot to add in the card ID there. I would have just deleted that entire origin, which is fun. So now when we are in here, if we move these three cards to the deck and refresh the page, they're still there, and that is because if I refresh the deck, the cards are now, yeah, see, this is why I did the so what we've done there is we have not actually posted the cards to this destination. We've just posted an empty object which has generated as a UUID and messed everything up. So I want to now, if we look at our collections.json, it's edited that as well. So this will happen. It's fine. We just git check out data, and our cards data is fixed again, and then we can just rerun JSON server. Right, happy days, and we should, yeah, there we go. The dummy cards are gone, and the app is back in its normal state. What we forgot to do there was pass it the card. That's basically, oh, what an idiot. Right, so now we are deleting the old card and posting the new card to the destination. So in theory, if we do what we did last time, refresh the page, they're gone. Hopefully they went somewhere this time. There we go, they went to the deck. So we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're in order just because of the way we sent them. That's a coincidence, or as Alanis Morissette would call it, irony. Yeah, so we can put everything in the hand and refresh the page, and now everything's in the hand, and we can send onions, onions and party over there, and then put them in the deck. And if we load the deck, there they are in the deck. In fact, if we just go to DB, we can see we've got this mirroring exactly what we see. I should close that here. So nothing in the play area, nothing in the play area. A load of cards with player 1, load of cards with player 1, and 3 cards in the deck. You can't see that there's 3 cards in here, but there's cards in here, and there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and now they're all in player 1's hand, and you can see. So that works, but if we open up the console, you can see Vue is not very happy about the way that we've done this. Mainly, originally when we load, there's no slice of undefined because the data is loaded in after the app is loaded, so it struggles to deal with the no data issue. And then after that, error in callback, watch a function, blah, 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 blah. Do not mutate Vuex store state outside the mutation handlers. So what that means is we've got Axios here that's like just sitting outside of everything, mutating the state directly. You shouldn't do that. You should have a mutation that mutates the state. So we can do that. We can do Axios. No, we want a new mutation. We don't want Axios. We want get all cards. Actually, that should be. Let's just say fetch collections would make more sense as a name. And fetch collections, we'll just get this Axios data here. View, so what I want to look at is the view life cycle, and I want to say when, view component life cycle hooks, alligator.io, whatever that is. This is what we want. Before create. So if I go on app.view, so what this is doing is, in theory, is before this component is created, it runs this function, which is it just this dot wait, wrong way around. This dot store dot commit fetch collections. This is a guess. Right, okay. Of course. So we're hitting the synchronous asynchronous issue here. So if I was to just do state.collections equals let's comment out this Axios stuff. There we go. So we've just got one card in the deck. Everyone's happy. It's fine, you know. So before the app is created, we commit this fetch collections mutation, and we fetch the collections, and we say, okay, so the state collections now equals this, which, you know, that's good. With this Axios call, we are saying go get the collections and then set the state.collections to the response data. This seems all right, but we're actually we're changing the state outside of the mutation, because when we go get this, we're actually we're doing this asynchronously. So it's this function here that's setting the state, which is returned in this case 185 or 0.185 milliseconds, whatever that means, a fraction of a second after we've requested it. So it seems instant, but it's not instant. It's not in the same runtime. So this is where Vue actions come in, or Vuex actions or whatever. Is this the right? Yeah, this is the Vuex documentation. So we looked at these pretty briefly back in episode 0. But we didn't do too much with them. Basically, what we do is instead of inside here committing a mutation, we fire an action, and then that action goes and gets the data and then commits a mutation on that data. So fetch collections is not actually the mutation that we want. Actions, I'm just putting this in here for now. I don't know if this is how it's done, but so let's call that a collection, and then we want a new mutation here, which is set collections, and we pass it in the collections. Again, this is all pretty much guesswork at this point, and we do state dot collections equals collections, and instead of saying state dot collections is response dot data, we do commit response dot data. This is very likely going to fail on me because I've just guessed. Unknown mutation type fetch collections. Oh, right, because, right. How do you call an action? Let's get rid of you. Dispatch. Dispatch. Unknown action type fetch collections. Oh, we're not passing that. Right. Actions. Is it going to be the same? Commit is not defined. Alright, okay, well we'll fire in the action at least. How do I commit? What have I done different? I wonder. Right, we're not passing it the context. Alright. Commit, like that. Does that work? Oh. Vue expects string as the type but found object. What does that mean? Oh, right, okay. See, this is why you shouldn't just run blindly into things. Okay, right, let's see, API. Commit, and then the second one is the, yeah, okay, so we want to commit, that's why. This is why. I haven't told it what mutation to commit. Right, we're getting somewhere. We're getting the same error twice now. Let's just see if this is doing anything. Banana. Yes, so we are actually. Are we getting the collections? We're getting an observer. Right. Let's jump back in here. Maybe I need to look at mutations again. Commit with payload. How do I get out of the... Oh yeah, it's state payload. See, oh, we're getting the right things. Why is it? Is it empty or is it just way? Right. We're still getting this type error, but at least we're not getting told off. I'll take a type error over not being told off. Cannot read property slice of undefined. Where are we even slicing anything? Right, deck. So if you remember, this v4 slices the cards and reverses them. Store.getters.cards in deck. So I want to update my getter. So what's happening is it is looking for state.collections location and it's not there. So we just want to put in or an empty array. So in theory, yeah, there we go. That issue's gone. So what was happening there was we were looking for the collections for a location that didn't exist yet, or was empty or whatever, and it was returning undefined. And then inside deck.view, we were trying to slice all the cards in the array, but we didn't have an array, we just had undefined. So what we're saying here is get me the state.collections location, but if that's undefined, then return an empty array. Now this is exactly the kind of thing that a test should catch, but we didn't write a test to catch it. So it's always good practice when you've come across something like this, as we have, to write a test that will catch it. So if I pull that back out and we open up the cards test.
A few moments later.
Okay, so our tests were failing there, or going a bit weird at least, because we're trying to call Axios inside this mutation and we're testing that mutation. So our tests are trying to delete cards and post cards, but we've thankfully turned this endpoint off, otherwise that would have caused all kinds of chaos. So I'm just going to comment them out for now, and then the tests, you can see they're running fine, and we get the empty array for non-existent collections. Right, that test is written. We need to be very careful with putting these in. There is a library called Moxios that lets you mock Axios endpoints. I'm going to just put that on myself outside of these because I've done too many videos on testing at the moment. I think what we could do with these things is we could have chained actions so that when the post here is successful, then fire off the delete, and then once that's successful, then we can move the card. Or there's a few ways we can do it, I guess. Okay, so I'm coming to time here, but we've done quite a bit today. Actually, we've pulled out the data and we've put it in as a database, which is okay. So I'm starting to come to time here, but we've done quite a bit today. We've pulled out all the data and we put it in a database. We have pulled in that database using Axios, which I've kind of brushed over a little bit, but it's very simple and it's quite nice. And there's plenty of videos out there on how to do Axios if that's something you're into or want to get into. We've looked very briefly at JSON Server. The reason we've looked very briefly at it is because there's not a lot to it. It's really simple to get up and running. And we're ultimately going to be scrapping it eventually in favour of Firebase, but we shouldn't have to change too much in order to do that. We've got our first action, fetch collections. Actions let you handle the asynchronous calls that are involved in getting data from an API, and do them nicely and still keep the state all set and everything, and we're not changing things in an unexpected way in Vuex. So everything's handled in the proper way. So we get this fetch collections, which then goes and gets the data and then tells the app, right, I've got the data. Now we can do the set collections mutation and actually put the data on there. We also caught a bug that only cropped up because of the way we did the data and the asynchronicity, but it's a bug that would have cropped up eventually later anyway. So we wrote a quick test just to catch that. One thing we do still need to do with the tests is handle these things. So you can see now that we've got database calls inside our app. What we don't want is if we start testing the mutations, we don't want the test suite deleting cards from our actual database, which is exactly what will happen here if I had this server running. We don't want that. That's going to cause a lot of problems. So we need to think of a way around that. I may do that on a video. I may do that off camera and just sort of talk you through it. It depends. If it's something you want to see, let me know. This is a bit of a wishy-washy solution. We could end up deleting cards entirely. If this post fails, we could just start deleting cards from the database, which we don't want to do. But, you know, as a proof of concept, it works quite well. And we got actions in there which showed us how to handle asynchronous stuff. So that was nice. So yeah, now we can move all the cards about, and the state is kept inside the database. And is the database running? Yeah, the database is running. And when we refresh the page, it's exactly as we left it. If we open it in a new window, again, it's exactly as we had it. We can move that into there. We can move these. When we go in here, we still have to refresh, but you know the state is maintained. But yeah, so while the data does update on refresh, it doesn't actually update in real time. Now, what we can do, which would be a quick and dirty thing here, is we could, can we? Maybe, I'm not sure. We could tell the app to refetch the collections here. So after each mutation, update the data. But we're not going to do that, because when we eventually use Firebase will say the data has changed. Here's the changes to the data, and it will pass them down to us, and we'll handle them that way. So that if somebody makes a change in one window, the database, the changes will be sent up to the database. That database will tell everything that's connected to it that there's been a change, and it will send out all them changes, and then their apps can update so that everything is in real time. But that's a topic for another video.